Good afternoon, welcome to the Energize e-bike showroom here in Coulsdon. My name is Neil and I'll be taking you through several things today. E-bike basics, we'll introduce you to some of our favourite products as well. This is our first ever live stream, so it's a bit of an experiment, and as with any piece of live broadcasting, we are subject to technological influences. So if the signal does break off either at our end or your end, stick with it, we'll try to reconnect. But if all else fails, we will keep rolling and film the video anyway and upload that to the Facebook page afterwards so that you have the video at home to watch. So let me just tell you about us and the building that we're standing in as well. This is a purpose-built e-bike showroom. I would say we've probably got about 75 to 80 electric bikes, and the good thing about Energize e-bikes is that you can test ride any electric bike that's on display. We build them up here in our in-house workshop, and then we have some private roads just opposite and some other quiet roads round and about for you to take a test ride. Because there's one thing you can't figure out online when you're reading about electric bikes, and that is how is your body going to react. And this is the perfect place. We've got some slopes, both gentle and steep, and you can try your electric bikes there. And how you can do that is by going onto the website energizeebikes.co.uk. If you're on a desktop, you just look to your top left and it will say free test rides. Click that and that will take you through to a booking page. If you are on a mobile phone, again, navigate to energizeebikes.co.uk and you'll need to go into the menu and it's in About Us, and then you'll find the test ride form there. So just book in with your nearest showroom. And so Coulsdon is not just our only showroom, we're in Tunbridge Wells as well. So any of you viewing from Kent, that will be your nearest store, but use the same test ride submission form. Now, this isn't just a showroom, it is also the crossroads of the cycling universe. And in the 1890s, right here in this spot, used to be a hotel owned by the Coppard family. It was a temperance hotel, so no alcohol. And cyclists, Victorian cyclists, used to meet here and take refreshment underneath a chestnut tree. And it's quite nice that 130 years later, we are joining the same cycling evolution. And you can see on the, well, maybe you can't see at the moment, but we'll show you later. All along the walls we have bikes from across the decades, just to show that electric bikes are the next stage in the evolution of the bike. Also, from where I'm standing here, I'm looking out onto the road, and it's not just any old road, it is also part of l'Avenue Verte, the Green Avenue, which was made in the year 2000 to celebrate the millennium, and it is a joined up tree-lined cycle route from London to Paris, or Paris to London, depending on which direction you're going. And every summer we see tourists coming up from Paris to our showroom to get their tyres pumped up, to buy all their accessories for their trip to London. So that's where I am, and as I say, not the only showroom, we're in Tunbridge Wells as well. So I'm going to assume that some of you watching are completely new to electric bikes and don't really know what they are, how they work, and all that kind of thing. So maybe if I'll take a second to talk about that. Now, there are two main types of electric bike. You have actually, maybe let's start with what an electric bike is not. That would be a good place to start. Now, an electric bike is not a scooter and it's not a moped. So if you're looking for something that's a free ride, where you just sit on, turn a throttle, and then you go, an e-bike is not for you. And an electric bike is all about pedal assistance, so that pedal for pedal, you can go further, up steeper hills, and manage your energy. That's what it's about. It's an assistive technology. It does not take over from the rider. But how does it do that? So you've got two main types of electric bike. You have a hub motor electric bike and a crank drive electric bike. The hub motor style is an older, more basic type of electric bike. You'll know one when you see it because it's got the motor in the middle of the wheel, and what it does is that motor spins the wheel at a given rate depending on the setting you've done on the handlebar, and then you, the human, will drive the pedal and power the drivetrain. So your motor is doing that and you're doing this, and as you can see, slightly not synchronized, and that's important in the moment when I describe what a crank drive e-bike does. That is where the motor is on the cranks, where your bottom bracket would be, and we'll show you that on an example shortly. And in that style of electric bike, you are putting your leg power through the cranks and the drivetrain, and so is the motor, and you're going at a synchronized rate. It means all the power, the human power and the motor power, is going through your drivetrain at the same time, and that means it's much more efficient. So I would say 95% of the electric bikes we do at Energize e-bikes are now crank drive electric bikes. You get probably double the mileage out of a battery charge on a crank drive e-bike than you would out of the older style hub motor e-bikes. That's not to say that hub motor e-bikes don't have their place. We've got many, many customers who are very happy riding around on their hub motor e-bikes, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. If I just take a moment to give you an analogy of what an e-bike feels like, it's always very difficult to describe how an e-bike feels unless you actually come and try them. But what I often say to people is, imagine how a singer uses a microphone. So they sing loud, sing quiet, and everything in between. And you stick a microphone in front of them, and suddenly their voice is that much louder. It's the same with an electric bike. So you pedal hard, pedal soft, everything in between, and the motor and battery just make your pedal power that much greater. It means you can go on longer journeys, climb steeper hills, or just stop yourself from getting exhausted or even injured. That's well important. And the bike will help you from 0 miles an hour to 15.5 miles an hour. Lots of people ask us, how fast can an electric bike go? The answer is as fast as you can pedal it, or as fast as you can go downhill. But the motor is going to help you from the very difficult bit for the human body, that is going from a standstill to a cruising speed. The taxing bit of the ride, that is where you'll get the help from an electric bike. And why do people want electric bikes? There is as many answers to that question as there are e-bikes. But I always like to say that electric bikes can go where cars can't, where traditional bikes would struggle, and where it would take too long to walk. They really are a versatile vehicle. So if this is your first look at electric bikes, I really implore you to come and book a test ride, try them out for yourself, and you will feel in an instant why electric bikes are worth the effort. So I've gone through that. Let me just show you my e-bike. If I just give me a second. So I will just move the camera there. This is what I use every day. It's 7 years old. So if anyone is wondering how long these machines last, it is a very long time. 7 years old, same battery and motor. The only things that have been changed are the wearables, so brakes and drivetrain. And this is my car. I use this to go shopping, to visit people, and also commuting and leisure. So, and that is the Bosch system, and we'll come back to that. It's one of the most popular e-bike systems around in the world, and probably 3/4 of our bikes use the Bosch system. They're incredibly reliable and very smooth. And actually, might just show you, if the camera can pick it up, the controls. So here is the Intuvia display, this is how I control the power on the electric bike. If I go down to off, off is when it's just my leg power and the gears alone. If I stick it up into eco, that's adding another sort of 30% extra power from the motor. So essentially another leg's worth. It's like riding with 3 legs. I can even stick it up all the way to turbo, which is doubling to tripling the amount of power going through the pedals at any one time. And that's useful for very steep hills or just when you're extremely tired. And if you have a look at the left-hand side here, you change the power levels just by going up and down on this controller, a bit like changing the volume on your TV. So if you can ride a bike and change the volume on a TV, you can ride an electric bike. But there you go. Hopefully that has reassured you that they are machines that will last a long time, and they're not just some bikes people buy for a particular holiday or for just the summer season, and then they go into the shed and then they just rust away. That is not the case with these. You will use these every week of the year. They really are fit for purpose. So let's get that out of the way. That's an old e-bike. You want to see some new ones? So I'm conscious of time. It's a stunning evening out there, and I don't want to keep you too long. So let's have a look. That's the old bike. Let's have a look at some newer models of bike. Richard, if you follow me over to the, I should say that my colleague Richard is on the camera. If you come and book your test ride here in Coulston, it's likely to be Richard or Tony giving you the tour of the showroom and taking you on a test ride, which are accompanied, by the way. So if you feel like you're too nervous and you haven't ridden a bike for maybe decades, this is not a new story for us. We have lots of people who haven't ridden a bike for years and years and years. Don't worry, we've got very quiet roads, and as I say, Richard and Tony will take you through step by step, or pedal by pedal, maybe you should say. So this is a BMC Trailfox Amp 2S, and that's as catchy a name as you'll find in the e-bike world. Full suspension electric bike. So this is made clearly for going off-road. Look at these knobbly tyres, nice wide tyre, lots and lots of traction to take advantage of the power coming from your Shimano E8000 motor. And just a word on that motor there. Shimano is probably a name that you recognise if you're in the cycling world already. The E8000 is a motor that has been designed specifically to mimic as closely as possible the feeling, the natural feeling of mountain biking. The consensus here is that it's the most responsive motor for off-roading. So if that is where you want to be riding, out on the trails, cross-country, even maybe a little bit of downhilling, this is the motor that you want to be looking at. A lot of you mountain bikers will also recognise this SRAM gear set, 12 gears there, so you will never run out of gearing there. Other features that you want to look at are the suspension front and rear. These are RockShox 150mm travel, which really will take out almost all the bumps that you'll ever come across on a typical trail. But also your tyres will help with that aspect as well. And you have our favourite gizmo, dropper seat post, which raises and lowers depending on where you are in the ride. So maybe we'll do that as a separate video actually, because that's something quite interesting that some people might not have come across before, but as I say, one of our favourite accessories, and one which we often upgrade other bikes to use. So that's for your downhilling. You've got 500 watt-hour battery in there. 500 watt-hours is pretty much standard now for electric mountain bikes. You'll get, I would say, 65 miles out of it for the average rider. Some of you will be able to get more. Some of the manufacturers will quote more, but usually we like to give a more conservative quote for mileage, because we know conditions are never perfect when you're out riding, so 65 miles we would suggest. So that's the BMC Trailfox Amp S2, and if you want to give that a go, we have that in the Coulston showroom, so book your test ride online after this video. What else should we look at? Let's have a look at the Specialized. So, love this bike. Specialized is a brand. Let me take this off. This is going to distract you. Specialized is a brand which we've just brought onto the roster here at Energizing Bikes. But it's a very well-known brand. You probably recognise it. It's from California. They were founded in 1974 in the Californian sunshine. And if there's any bike that is going to make you feel like you are on the beach in California during the hippie era, it's this beach cruiser style bike, the Como 4, and there's the Como 3 behind me as well. It uses the Specialized Turbo 1.2E motor and has a 500 watt-hour battery. And this motor is super smooth and super quiet as well. It's got an internal belt drive, which means there's hardly any noise coming from that. You will not be distracted by sort of any whining noise from the motor when you're out there enjoying your rides out in the country. And look at these tyres. It's very likely that you'll never have been on a bike with such wide tyres. But I would say do not let that put you off, because that is what we call air suspension. This is one of the smoothest, most comfortable bikes I have ever had the pleasure of riding. And when I took it out on the road the other day, I just came back shouting to my colleagues, that's insane, why is that so good? You feel in such control when you're on this bike. You've got wide handlebars, which make steering nice and easy. You won't get twitchy steering on something like this. And because the motor is just so smooth, you never feel that you have this kind of on-off power that you sometimes get with electric bikes. Some of you might have tried the rental electric bikes around London and maybe even closer by here in Croydon. That kind of electric bike gives you that surging feeling. This does not. It's the exact opposite. It is a true cruising style electric bike. And these, this and its sort of sister bikes are flying off our shelves at the moment. We cannot get them in quick enough. So do book your test ride on these. You will not be disappointed. They are stunning, absolutely stunning. So that's that one. I will grab one more bike because we have to get to the Q&A section. So this is another absolute stunner. So this is the GoCycle GX. Now GoCycle has been around for quite some time now. They were designed by a former McLaren F1 engineer. So you know I was talking about a hub motor electric bike earlier. This is one of those. That is the motor. It's about the size of an apple, but can more than match the power that a human being can put through. So the GoCycle looks very different because a few reasons. The battery is there enclosed, the chain is enclosed here as well. You have these magnesium alloy wheels, which makes everything super light. Basically everything is enclosed, so it means there's very little maintenance for you to do. So if you're a commuter, this is a really good bike to have. It's only about 15 kilos to carry. It's also foldable, which maybe we'll do in a different video. So you can stash it under your desk at work or by your desk at work, or carry it onto a train very easily if you're a commuter. Also, something that I always find very interesting about this bike is what they call a veganomic design. So even though it's a smaller bike, smaller wheels, the way they've done the geometry means that you can fit almost any size of rider on this bike. So as long as a person can reach the floor, they'll be able to ride it. The seat post grows away in this direction and it creates more space up here to fit almost any rider. It's a very comfortable bike to ride, which if you've tried riding smaller wheel, just normal bikes, you'll know that they can sometimes be a little bit uncomfortable because you can feel every single lump and bump in the road. That's not the case with the GoCycle because of that geometry. And also, again, if you look at the wheels there, the tyres, they are fairly wide, which gives you a nice stable base. It's a very comfortable commuting style bike, perfect for commuting. Right, so that's 3 bikes. There's so many more. I don't actually know. I should have probably figured it out. I don't know how many different models of electric bike we've got in at the moment between the Coulston branch and the Tunbridge Wells branch. We'll probably have to do a stock check soon. But you can see them all and you can try any of them. That's really the main message of today. You can try any of the bikes that I've shown you, or any that you can see behind me, if you book in via the website, or you can actually just send us a private message through the Facebook page now even to book your test ride. So that's a sample of some electric bikes. Let's see if we have, actually what I can do is go through some frequently asked questions and then we'll throw to some questions from viewers. So if I get to the right page there. So one of the most common questions we get is how fast can they go? And I've kind of covered it off earlier. The motor helps you up to a cruising speed of 15.5 miles an hour. And what some people don't realise is actually that is faster than the average speed of traffic in most UK towns, which is about 9 to 10 miles an hour. So 15 miles an hour consistently is going to get you most places faster than a car. And in fact, the latest research says that if your journey is 3 miles or 5 kilometres, you will get there faster on a bike, especially an electric bike, than you would on a car. So that's another reason. And most of our journeys are under 10 miles. So definitely something you should look into if you are trying to save time going from place to place. Another frequently asked question is how long do the batteries last? There's 2 parts to that question. One is how much mileage do you get from a single charge? Very tough question to answer because it depends on so many factors. The conditions on the roads, how pumped up your tyres are, obviously the gradients that you're going to be riding over. But good ballpark figure for a crank drive electric bike with a battery size of 400 to 500 watt hours is 45 to 65 miles. And you'll see that quoted on a lot of our bikes on the website. As I said earlier, some of you will get more out of the battery, some of you will get less if you're carrying lots of things on your panniers, but 45 to 65 miles is a good moderate estimate. In terms of their lifetime, the short answer is we still don't know. There are bikes that we sold back in 2011 when we first started that are still on the road. My bike, my battery, so as long as you look after the battery, which means keeping it charged, keeping it out of the cold, they will last a very long time. How much do they weigh? That's another question. They weigh, so most of these bikes behind me are going to weigh something between 20 and 25 kilos. The GoCycle, which I just showed you, was about 15 kilos, but most of them are about the same weight as a Boris bike, that kind of thing. The motor is 2.5 to 3 kilos. The battery is pretty much the same, 2 to 3 kilos as well. But of course you don't feel the weight when you are riding the bike because you've got the help of the motor. It's your teammate carrying the weight. If you just think of rowers, Matthew Pinsent, Steve Redgrave in their rowing boat, your Matthew Pinsent and the e-bike motor is Steve Redgrave. You're both pulling in the same direction, so you never feel the full weight of the bike, except if you're lifting it onto a tow bar carrier, for example. Also, people often ask, will you get exercise on an e-bike? And the answer is yes. There is no, as I said earlier, no free ride. This is not a scooter or a moped. The motor does absolutely nothing until you are. So you are still getting a cardio workout. You're moving your legs, you're getting the circulation going. Your lungs and your heart are pumping. What you might miss out on is the muscle building exercise, the stuff that sort of causes the lactic acid buildup. But for most people, they don't want that. They don't want to get into the exhaustion zone or the injury zone. So some of our customers, actually a lot of our customers, are trying to protect old injuries either in the knees, hips, lower back, and an e-bike means that they can keep their joints going and they never get injured. So have we got any other questions from our viewers? I'm going to just have an ear out to my researcher, Tony.
I've been answering a few online as you speak, Neil, but there are a couple of others. Servicing, how much is a service on an e-bike?
Right, so the question was, how much is servicing on an e-bike? The answer is, if you buy an electric bike from Energize e-bikes, you get free lifetime servicing. Free lifetime servicing. So yeah, on any of those bikes you've just seen or any you buy in store, free lifetime servicing. Once a year, an annual service. You can also buy that package if you didn't buy your bike from us or you bought it before this year. You can buy the lifetime servicing package for £150. So just ask in your nearest store and we can sort that out for you. Otherwise, it would normally be £80 or £85 per service, and then spare parts on top of that. But free lifetime servicing for any bike bought here at Energize e-bikes. Any other questions?
One's just come up from Peter Corish on Facebook.
Yeah.
What price range are they? So what's the cheapest and most expensive?
Okay, so the prices go from around £1,300 to £4,500–5,000. It depends. So the folding bikes generally are going to be the most affordable ones, and there's actually a big range in those. But they are in short supply, so get in contact with us if you are after a folding electric bike.
And there is the Stock Genius just over there.
The Stock Genius.
Orange bike, 6,700.
Yes. Yeah, 6,700. So if you're after a beast which can do anything with a higher spec, you can get, then spend 6,000 to 7,000 and you'll get a Stock Genius bike. So there's a big range actually out there of prices. And you can talk to us in the showroom about that. If you've got any budget constraints, you can get 0% finance with us as well, so you put down a deposit and pay the rest over 12 months. And there's various other ways to pay for your e-bike as well. So if you have any other questions about pricing, just get in touch or send us a message through the Facebook Messenger. Okay, any other questions?
Can I convert my bike to an e-bike? Can
you convert your bike to an e-bike? The answer is physically yes. Should you do it? The answer is no. So we have never found an e-bike conversion system that is satisfactory. Basically, if you convert your bike to an e-bike, you get the worst of both worlds. Your bike, your conventional bike, is not designed to take the stresses and strains of a powerful electric motor. You change the balance of your bike first of all, but also you just wear it out, so you get the worst of both worlds. We don't recommend it, and to be honest, once you've gone through the rigmarole of upgrading all your components on your traditional bike, you will have spent the time and money that you could have put towards a fully designed electric bike like the ones behind me. So yes, you can, but please don't. Okay.
And let's have a look. I've got another one here, which is, does the battery charge whilst you ride?
Does the battery charge whilst you ride? Good question. And the answer is no, it doesn't. You charge them up from the mains, just like your mobile phone or laptop. It's exactly the same technology. In fact, lithium-ion batteries. They have tried doing regenerative bikes, but the extra weight of the components and basically the physics don't work enough to get a full charge from regenerative cycling. So you would only typically get a 5% top up from those old systems. They haven't worked very well. So with these bikes here, you plug them into the wall, you take the battery off and plug them into the wall, and in the first hour alone, you get the bulk of your charge back. So if you're stopping off at a cafe, you can top up your battery. If you've commuted to work, you can plug it into your office electricity and top up there. It's much more convenient and much more reliable to do it that way than the regenerative. Yeah, so I have been rambling on for half an hour. If you've got any more questions, put them into the comments or send them to us through private messaging. You can also get us on Twitter, that's @EnergizeEbikes. You can also go to the website and subscribe to the newsletter, and you can book your test rides through the website as well. Or you can just send us an old-fashioned email. at enquiry@energizeebikes.co.uk. That's enquiry@energizeebikes.co.uk. And what I would just say to end is I hope you found it interesting. You will probably have some more questions, but book in for a test ride, 30 seconds on an e-bike going up that private road there or down in Tunbridge Wells. Will answer more questions than I can verbally. And if you want us to do another topic on a video, also let us know in the comments. But other than that, I will say good night and enjoy your sunny evening, and hopefully see you soon.